Welcome to episode 5 of the Early Childhood Commission's Child Rights Series live forum here on Serenity Resource Connector. I'm Winsome Sherrier, Witter, your moderator for this forum. And as we continue to observe Child Month under the national theme, Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation, we turn our attention to a timely and vital conversation. A child's best interest, society's best interest. A well-nurtured child grows into a responsible adult, one who contributes to safer communities, stronger families, and a more compassionate nation. And that is the aim. That's all we're doing in the different ministries, the different engagements that we have in this space and elsewhere. So this evening, we're honored to be joined by 3 incredible women who have dedicated their lives to advancing early childhood development. And I ask you in the virtual space to help me make welcome. We have Sheila Cooper already online. Thank you for joining us. All right, let's bring up our banner. So let's make welcome our international guest, Mary Barbara Trube, Early Childhood Education Specialist from GEM Educare. Welcome, Barbara.
Welcome.
All right. We're also joined by Hyacinth Blair from the Ministry of Education, Science, Youth and Information, Senior Director, Children Affairs Policy Division. Welcome, Hyacinth.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Rounded out by Carene Francis, no stranger to this space, our Early Childhood Commission Community Relations Manager. Welcome back, Carene.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. All right. And so we see the community rolling in from across Jamaica. And as usual, you can share where exactly you're joining us from, your institution. It's always great to see Team ECC representing from across the island. So let's begin with the foundational question, ladies. What exactly do we mean by the best interest of the child? Help us to understand this powerful concept from your professional perspective. And we'll start with Barbara, then we move over to Hyacinth, and then Carene will put the icing on the cake. Barbara, what exactly do we mean by the best interest of the child?
By the best interest of the child, we mean that the child is conceived, nurtured, born, cared for, and educated throughout childhood with love and respect. And that love and respect is for his uniqueness and the potential within that child throughout his lifespan. And I happen to believe that there is a little child in every one of us. And that little child who lives in every one of us will continue to thrive and contribute to the greater good. And then the cycle will begin again.
I love that. I feel that there's a little child in me right now. Go ahead, Hyacinth.
Right. I just to expand, because I think Mary has just said it in a nutshell. But it really ensures that every action that is taken, every decision that is taken surrounding that child is taken and made with their safety, their happiness, their future, their best interests, their best development. All of that is taken into consideration when we're thinking about the best interests of the child. And so in terms of their physical, mental, their stability, just about everything that is done surrounding that child is really to ensure that it's toward their whole development as an individual.
Oh, fantastic. Carene, the icing.
All right, so we look at who is responsible for ensuring this, and it's all adults. So it's whether you're a parent, you're a relative providing care, you're a caregiver, a teacher, a public servant, a policymaker, it's prioritizing the child's overall well-being. And as Hyacinth would have mentioned, it's the physical, the emotional, and the psychological, catering to their overall needs. And you start from the very bottom. What are those physiological needs? Looking at their safety, looking at their need for love and belonging, and ensuring that we are nurturing these needs as adults.
Fantastic. Amazing. It's amazing how much we can share on this topic, but let's keep rolling. We're in National Child Month, May. It's always such a beautiful time. And when you look at, especially Children's Day, when you see the children getting their treat and you see all the excitement going on around, it's always a joy to see. But it's also a time of reflection and action for us as adults. So share with us, Hyacinth, from the ministry, and then Carene from the ECC, what are some of the activities being led by your organization throughout this month?
Okay, so yes, it is really a special time and it is so much of an active time. So some of what we're doing, first of all, we have what we call 31 Days of Children's Rights. And it is our effort to increase public awareness of children's rights, focusing on the right for protection, the right for provision, and participation. And we do that through sharing flyers. Each day we put out a right on a flyer. We put it on our social media page for circulation. And so it is really informing the public, because we hear about child right, and we don't all know what they are. So it is our means of really enhancing awareness of these rights. Another activity that we have during this time is what we call our child conversations. And we have two types of child conversations this year. Child Conversations Special Edition and Child Conversation Wellness Bench Line. Child Conversations really is a space, a safe space for children to express themselves. We provide them with a platform where they feel safe enough to express themselves and to have fun. Our special edition focus on children with special needs, and we this year we went to the Landila School of Special Education in Westmoreland. It was on National Children's Day. We had over 200 students from 3 centers, special needs centers, came together, and we really had a good time speaking with them, allowing them to talk, allowing them to dance, to express themselves in various art forms. The guest speaker for that event was somebody also who, Mr. Jason Ricketts, really, who has a special, is also visually challenged. And so it was good to have him speak with them, to speak from a position of experience, to talk with them, to share with them. So we had that, and it was really a good day. The children had fun. They had time to play. They had time to do artwork. They had time to dance, and they had time to talk. So we look forward to that. It's really one of my more favorite activities for Child Month. And we also have another child activity, Child Conversation Wellness Bench Lime. This one we do in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Wellness. And the focus is on mental health and mental wellness. The goal is to help students develop knowledge and skills to maintain good mental health, to cope with stress, and to support other children who are really struggling. So we have the psychologists from the Ministry of Health and Wellness, and we come together. We will be meeting with children, having children from Trelawney and St. Anne coming together so that we can have that time with them, and that is towards the end of the month. So these are some of the activities that we are leading from the Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth and Information.
All right. Thank you for that. It's skills. Yes. Go ahead, Carene.
So far, as the Early Child Commission, we would have participated and engaged in the Read Across Jamaica Day activity, where we had our staff, head office and regional officers going out into our schools, and we are engaging our children in reading. We're demonstrating appropriate means of reading to our children, and we would have also invited some of our stakeholders and our partners to come in and to just share with the children to see what is happening in the space and engage them in meaningful reading activity. We have currently our weekly parent shout out. So this is an activity that we have been doing 2 years now, where we have our parents sending messages to our children. So we ask them for just a 2 minutes video. Pick up your child, you know, what it is that you love about your child, and we ask them to center that on the theme for Child's Month. And those are actually posted on our social media pages. So you can always go and you see what is happening there. Now, another major activity happening now is the ECC's Professional Development Institute. And our theme for this year is high quality early childhood care and education, a child's right, not a service. So it's completely aligned. And what this sees is that our track 3 is children's expression. So we have a group of 150 children from communities at risk in St. James. So we're in Region 4, we're at the Montego Bay Convention Center, and we are engaging these children in arts, drama, dance, and music. And we culminate with a performance at the end of the week. So our PDI runs from Monday, May 19th, and we end the 23rd, which is this Friday. And our children will be demonstrating that activity which they would have learned, and we're putting together a big performance for them.
Wow. I was there last year, and it was, I can just imagine, 100 and odd children. That's going to be a grand finale.
Yes.
Amazing, awesome activities. And I've been seeing the clippings from the different reading and the different highlights coming through. Amazing work the teams are doing there. Let's zoning though on the National Child Month theme. Act Now, Stand Against Child Abuse and Exploitation. And with all that's happening around us, it is just such an urgent and powerful theme. But how does this theme align with the best interest of the child, and by extension, the best interest of our society? Starting with Carene and then Hyacinth.
When you talk about standing against abuse and exploitation, right? It evokes a societal awareness as to what is happening with their children nationally. We see these happening internationally, but now it's closer to home. We are seeing the cases and the reports on the news. We hear the stories. So how do we act in the best interest of the child? We seek to promote equality among our children. We are informing our parents and our families of what it means when you try to eliminate those exclusions, the discrimination against children who are different from others. We are ensuring that our child's voices are being heard and that their views are respected. Now, to act, it means that we are supporting the communities in which our children are a part of. Now, I would like to believe that the safer the community, the better your child sleep. So there is no disruption. We look at the music, we look at the violence in some of these spaces, and how do we as parents, as practitioners, protect our children from what is happening in the space? So in the best interest of the child, we ensure that they're not neglected. We ensure that we explain to them exactly what is happening, that we provide for their wellness and their care, and it's been a part of the process. So as parents, are you supporting your child in homework? Do you engage them in playful activities? It's about protecting their emotional and social well-being, because when you look at how a child is being developed, you approach them negatively, then they tend to act out. They tend to be a little bit rebellious. So in society's best interest, we are building on their emotional and social well-being. In the best interest of the child, we're saying no to corporal punishment, because our children are sponges. So we have to use more appropriate disciplinary measures, because once it is that they see that abuse is a way of getting the behavior that they want, then you realize that they reenact these behaviors and they go to school with these same behaviors. Now, our children having access to their educational needs, they're not kept at home because our parents want to go out to a party and they want to afford that hairstyle. No, we do not sacrifice the child's education for our own personal gain. So you have to look at the fact that in the best interest of the child, they come first. So as teachers, as practitioners, we have to be able to hear their concerns and to be able to provide for them on that level. So we are putting them first, because the benefit is that when you have well-rounded children, they become better citizens in our communities and in society.
Indeed. Hyacinth?
Yes, and just to add to Carene, when the parents have done all that they can do, it comes back to the community, because we have to come back to the place of looking out for the children. We have to come back to the place of recognizing that there is such a need to protect the children. We have seen it in really devastating ways more and more recently, and it really calls for greater action, greater vigilance from a community standpoint, from a government standpoint, in terms of ensuring that laws and policies are enforced just to protect the children. It really takes all of us. Child protection, caring, and development is really cannot be viewed as standalone. So you have one ministry or one agency or one department who is responsible. But yes, whilst you have responsible ministries, agencies, and entities that will lead in certain aspects that would deliver services to the children, or to ensure the best welfare of the children, it really takes a whole of society approach to ensure that the children are cared for, the children are protected, the children are safe, the children are allowed to thrive and to develop, to become the best adults that we can become. So it's really a call to action for all of us to really act now and to improve on the areas that need improving on, so that our children can grow up to be more wholesome adults.
Indeed. Barbara, would you like to add your perspective based on our
Well,
national theme?
Well, I want to say that I feel that what my colleagues, Carene and Hyacinth, have said is very inspirational. But I really believe that things exist on a continuum, and we're talking about society, which is pretty grand. So thinking about a continuum, there has to be that ethic of care, CARE, care. And it on the lowest end of the continuum, when we think about care, CARE as an acronym, we think about concern. There has to be concern. There has to be awareness. There has to be recognition that this is an issue, and there has to be an exploration, so that we really pay attention and are attuned to what's going on, and that we don't close our eyes and close our doors to things that really do need, as Hyacinth said, vigilance. And then in the middle, care operates to build momentum. Truly, what my colleague said, a call to action. So care, CARE, would be call, answer that call. Acceptance, accept that the reality is that things are not as we want them to be in the best interest of children and the best interest of society. Research, investigate, learn more, find out why this is happening, what can be done in order to prevent it ultimately. But if it happens, what can we do to build resilience in children, to build resilience in the community? And educate, learn as much as possible and teach others and involve others. And then, of course, on toward the end, care operates on the continuum as commitment, making a commitment, taking action, accepting responsibility, and being truly engaged in empowerment of self and others. And then if we look at ACT as an acronym in terms of what we're talking about, approach it, approach it, approach it. Don't turn your back to it. Think about the best interests of children, the best interests of the child, and then commit to taking those action steps. And then make sure you get your public announcements out there. Be sure you do all those wonderful things that Carene talked about, that they are doing with the social media, with engaging the children from St. James in the arts, having that public celebration of what the children have been involved in the week. So the first thing is society has to care, and children need to know that we care.
Mhm.
Indeed. Indeed. And we are less than half an hour into this episode, and already we have established the importance of society continually investing in the best interest of the child. It goes without saying that we have to make it a continuous, as Barbara indicated, is on a continuum. So it's not something that we start today. It's not just Act for Child Month, but it's something that we continue to focus on. But share with us, Hyacinth, what are some long-term social, economic, and cultural benefits that we can derive from society investing continually in the best interest of the child?
Wow. Our motto, Jamaica is the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and retire, right?
Yes.
When we invest in children today, we ensure that tomorrow we have a society indeed where we can live and work and raise families. When we invest in children today, we are sure that we are more sure, if that's the term, that we'll have healthy and well-adjusted adults, who will in turn, as Barbara mentioned earlier, that the cycle will repeat itself. Because when you have grown up in a particular way, you're a healthy individual, a healthy adult, you will in turn raise healthy children. And in doing so, we would reduce our social cost, um, because we won't be spending so much money in terms of crime, in terms of health, in terms of neglect of children, and all the attendant things that comes with when children are not cared for, when children are not protected. We would have stronger communities whereby we have learned the lesson that it is by looking out for each other, it is for caring for each other, that we can have safer communities. It is important for us to understand what it means really to care for each other as a community. We are adults on the road. We see children come to us sometimes. They come asking for money. A lot of times they come doing things, and have a conversation. I usually have a conversation. How are you? Before I give anything, I say, how are you? Do you go to school? What class are you in? We have a conversation to find out why it is you're on the road, why it is you're not in school, what is it you're doing. We can't just be so focused on ourselves that we don't take the time to ensure that this child is okay. We have to reach a point where we look beyond our own immediate needs, because truly, if the children are not safe, then society feels it. And if they are safe, we feel it also in a positive way. So having Caring and investing in the children now certainly gives us assurance for a better and a healthier society in the future.
Well said. Barbara, would you like to weigh in on that? And then Carene?
Well, I would just say the best interests of the child and society is that society cares about the parents of these children and cares about youth as they grow up who will become parents. And that, the parents, that children are born to parents who are healthy in all domains and are able and enthusiastic about accepting their child, because children are truly life's greatest gift, and they are life's greatest challenge. So accept that child with love and with commitment. Commit to that challenge to nurture that person. And the best interests of the child begins in having an environment, creating an environment, society created an environment that offers the child opportunity for holistic growth, for health, for physical, cognitive, social, emotional, and spiritual health. It lies in greater understanding by the society that children's brain development is so important. Children's brains develop rapidly from birth to age 8, but we continue to grow throughout life. The brain continues to grow throughout life, and that the inner child continues to grow and the brain continues to develop throughout life. And the best interest is to value and demand the highest standards of those people who care for children and who educate children. And also, society needs to regard the people who care for and educate children as true champions, and elevate the importance of parenthood and teacherhood and caregiverhood. Society has a lot to play in the respect and recognition of the great contributions that are made on behalf of children by many members in that society.
Well said.
Yes.
Carene?
So just to add to what Barbara just said, our children thrive in communities that are stable and prosperous and that are for their well-being. And what it means is that as adults, if you see something that you considered weird, that considered off, if it's uncomfortable for the child, even in the slightest, you report it. And it's even made simple. The Child Protection and Family Services Agency, they have their 211 hotline. And that's a 24/7 hotline. You can call anytime, report any incidents. I know that the police, they have the Community Safety and Security Branch. They offer training to parents. They are in the communities. They see, and once it is that you approach them, then you're able to have that conversation. You identify that there's something going on. The child may not be going to school. They pair parents, or they pair these caregivers with entities and stakeholders that can offer them the support. So we have resources available in the space. Is just for our adults, parents, caregivers to reach out. We can also have this assistance from our practitioners and our teachers reaching out to what these resources are and how they can benefit our children, because we're looking at creating safe spaces for our children to thrive in.
Fantastic. And this is a good segue into the next segment, where we shift to the home front, because we're talking about the parents. So for those parents who are there wondering, all right, we're hearing all of this, but how, as a parent, can I truly support the best interest of my child from the global and developmental perspective? Barbara, share with us on that. How can the parent truly support the best interest of the child? And then we'll take it to the local and policy-based perspective with Carene and then Hyacinth. Go ahead.
I would say education is key. Education is key. Take advantage of local training in different study groups. Read, become involved with the education of of your child and other children, not just formal education, but informal education and extracurricular type activities as well. Education is way beyond formal degrees or education. Use the resources that are available to learn. Education can be acquired in so many different ways. Learn about organizations that support different communities and schools, and even international organizations. And there's an organization that I belong to throughout my life that's a very old organization in the it's a global organization, and it's Childhood Education International. It has a global outreach, and look at their programs, not necessarily to avail yourself of their programs or the wonderful resources that they have and outreach that they have, but to think about how that can be replicated in different ways. And I think you all are doing that wonderful work, but many parents do not take advantage of the resources that are available, unfortunately. Understand and know about organizations such as UNICEF and the organization I was talking about, Childhood Education International, has consultative with UNICEF, and because the missions are important, the wonderful actions that you're taking are also of global concern, international concern, and global concern to people who are educated, who really know and understand. And also, I think it's so important to understand that children recognize that adults truly love and care for them by what they do in kindness and genuine interest. And Hyacinth was talking about having a conversation, having a conversation with a child who may approach you and ask you for money or something. But have a genuine interest in that child as an individual, and talk with children rather than talk at children. It's so important, I think, to have the child in a loving and valuing environment. Help him, support him in valuing and loving his family, his culture, his community, and his nation, and keep those traditions alive. I love that what Carene was talking about in keeping the arts alive, because there are many indigenous arts and art forms that are being celebrated this, at the end of the week and going on all week. Tell oral stories, involve multi-generational kinds of activities so that children value people during their lifespan, and help children have a very proud sense of identity and know that they are part of a caring group of people, community, home, community, nation, and definitely a place where people want to be, want to work, want to raise a family in, and want to retire in.
Fantastic. Carene?
Hereditary parents need to ensure that the child's basic needs are being met, because they're provider, they're protector, and they're enablers of how their child developed as an individual. So the child comes first, and it's allowing that child to have that sense of independence, knowing that they can rely on mommy, they can rely on daddy, they can rely on their caregivers, because they have that guarantee that they are safe. And that's how they need to feel. And, the parents have the responsibility in terms of ensuring that the child in no way is being left out of the conversation. Before it was children are to be seen and not heard, but now their minds are developing. right? So we're using social media for good. We are teaching them more involved ways of interacting with the world. And we are stepping away from the gadgets because then from our social media platforms, we're in the community. We are encouraging play, we are being open, and then we are understanding as parents that our children are changing, and as they grow, we grow with them. Now society also has a role to play because we're looking at the support that we give to our parents, and at the Early Childhood Commission we do give support to our parents because we understand that strong families build strong communities. And we have our parent places. We have 108 parent places across the regions. And essentially, our parent place, it offers that level of support. It's a hope for parents. It's a self-help group, I would call it. Now, here we offer a 13-week curriculum where we are strengthening our parent skills. We are engaging them in different activities on how to raise a child. Right, we're reminding them of those things that they would have grown up on, those things that they want to actually put away because now you're adults and you want to raise your child on your own terms. But no, it benefited you when you were growing up. So, we're trying to bring you back there that it can also benefit your child. So we look at raising children on budget, we look at self-regulation, how to overcome stress, we look at managing your child's behavior, and how you can look at the different developmental stages that your child goes through. Is the child at the right stage of development? What can you do as a parent to ensure that they're being developed physically, emotionally, and mentally, and doing it in appropriate ways? So we're not trying to bully the child. We are not using the rough and method. And we can do, as they would say, it's positive parenting. I don't call it soft parenting. It's positive parenting because then we are engaging them in a more appropriate way at the child's level without them actually feeling that, I can't come and talk or engage with mom or dad. So we know parents are key stakeholders, and that is why we are catering to them at this level. We offer our training workshops also monthly, where we look at international and national topics that are affecting our parents, our parenting on a whole. There may be issues that flare up in the media. At one point, we were looking at bullying. We are looking at how to engage your child positively with your gadgets and your technologies. Or we can use the same phones that they have, and you have apps that are educational, but the child isn't stuck on a screen. How do you interact both? So we look at specialists in the fields, and we provide our parents with this level of support, because it's not just about, all right, your child coming to the institutions and our standard is just for the child. No, we are building safer communities. We are interacting with our parents, and we are ensuring that the community also have that buy-in where they are supporting our parents and their families. Because Hyacinth have mentioned earlier, it takes a village. And what that village looks like, we look at the spiritual, we look at the physical, we look at the emotional, we look at the level of care that our health centers provide, the policing within the regions, we look at our financial institutions, the different infrastructures within these communities, and all of them coming together, how they offer that support to our families so that they know that it's not just you. We're looking out for the well-being of your child. Sometimes we find that some residents may shy away from it because of the approach that our parents may take. Because I don't know why, but in several conversations, you would have seen persons saying that I grew up a particular way and I don't want that for my child. But then at the end of the day, you turn out pretty good, right? So we need to bring that back where you understand that it's okay to do it and to do it in your way, and it will benefit the child positively.
Fantastic. And Hyacinth, as you respond from the policy-based view, take Anne-Marie's question in consideration. Home is the first and oldest institution. Research shows this. We hold teacher to account who hold parents to account.
Okay, so we know, as you said, that home is the first institution. That's where the child ideally belongs. And the parents are the primary caregivers. the first ones to care and to protect the child. When that institution fails in securing the best interest of the child, then the state has a duty and a responsibility to step in. But it is certainly not the first and the best thing that we would want. We know that we have legislation in place, the Child Care and Protection Act, that ensures protection, provision, rights for the children, and these are really important. We understand too the need that parents have for support. You know, as any parent who, especially a first-time parent, you have this awesome responsibility, and you wonder, do I know anything? Do I know what to do to raise this child? How, but you learn, and parents do need the kind of support that will help them to really develop whole children and healthy children. We know that we do have, in addition to the support that we get from Early Childhood Commission to parents, we do have the National Parenting Support Commission, which is an agency of the government that provides support and help and to parents, and it's really important. Parents have to deal with the stress of caring and providing for children. And sometimes it gets overwhelming. And so it is important that the help and support is provided. There are the economic stress of just having children that you have to take care of, and you may not be able to support them in a way. And sometimes this kind of stress spill over onto the children. And so it is important that the parents are given the support that is needed to help them to contain their own emotions and to find creative ways of really providing for their children. So in terms of from the policy perspective, the legislations are in place to protect children and to provide guidance in terms of what is right and what is wrong in terms of doing the best well care for children. And so it is really important that parents get the necessary support and that these support are in place for them to rear children who are really wholesome to develop into responsible adults.
Well said. And I trust that answers your question, Anne-Marie, because I just figured that this particular response should have covered that. All right, so we talk about the whole child, so the holistic child development, because supporting a child's physical, emotional, and the psychological development is both in the child's interest and society's best interest, as our theme for this evening says. But what does this mean to each of you ladies, and how do we get better at doing this as a nation? Let's start with Carene, and then we go to Barbara, and then Hyacinth.
Physically, we look at how we engage our child in developmentally appropriate activities. We also look at identifying the child's stage of development. What is your child doing physically at 1 year old, 2 year old? Is the child where they should be? And it's one of those things that we'd want to promote, and our parents and our caregivers are able to make these identifications at an early phase, because we are looking at identifying our children who may be at risk for developmental delays. And we would have seen this in our JSRA, ASQJ screening tools, just to ensure that our children are developing appropriately and that we are able to make that intervention at this stage while we can do something about it physically. And we look at, I would have reiterated the whole how we approach discipline. Our children are sponges, and we want to ensure that we are using methods that are appropriate to develop our child's mental capacity so that they do not feel threatened in any way, or they don't feel that they can trust their parents or caregivers. Now, emotionally, our children have big feelings, the best way to put it. And with these big feelings, it's helping or guiding the children to understand what it means. For the most part, you see your children crying. And why are you crying? They have no idea. Right? So we need to help them to navigate these big feelings and the emotions and what it actually means, because then once they're able to identify if they're frustrated, if they're hungry, they're crying because they're sad, or they're not getting along with their peers, what does that mean? Does it mean that you cry? Right? So we are helping them to socialize better. We are building resilience. We are helping them to label and identify exactly what they're going through emotionally, because then we are helping them to self-regulate. And that's what we want, so that they are able to communicate better. And it means that when they're engaging with other children their age, they know how to take turns. So you don't cry because you don't get what you want. You ought to be able to, just wait a while, your time will come around. So we are fostering in them that social emotional skills, so that at the end of the day, they are better, and that they are more sociable in their interactions. And for me, psychologically, we look at their cognitive abilities, right? So we want well-thinking children, because at the end of the day, it means that you're providing tasks for that allows them to explore their environment. They are experiencing the world differently from us. So, they touch things, they may tend to taste things. They are at the level where a stranger coming into their midst, they are hugging. So we allow them to develop psychologically, because then we want them to understand the world that is around them. And a part of that, we allow them to make their mistakes, and then we guide them through the mistakes. Once it is that you would have identified, working it through with the child, we're not doing for them, because they want to give them that sense of independence. And it means that, oh, you're wrong. And then, when we do that, the child may shut down, and you realize that the child was once talkative and they don't do that anymore. But mentally, they would have blocked it out, because based on the approach that they're going to get from the adults, it means that I can't come to you with this thing that is bothering me. So we support their psychological development. We are fostering healthy relationships among the peers, and we are stemming away from shunning them from the negative. So instead of saying no, stop it, we find different means. All right, come here, Tom. What happened? We're having a conversation with our children, because we want them to be resilient, and we want them to understand that it's okay to feel the way they do. It's okay to fail, but because at the end of the day, we're developing their self-esteem, and we want them to be stronger. And as they grow stronger, we realize that they increase in their mental capacity, they perform better at school, and they are more likely to excel in everything that they do.
Fantastic. Barbara, and then Hyacinth.
I really enjoyed everything you said. I took so many notes. So I have to stretch to think of of something else to add to that.
That's okay.
Definitely, we want our children to, because they do come into the world with a lot of capability. And so we want them to be capable and competent. And we want them to understand the range of emotions that they may feel. And in talking about teaching them the language of emotions. And I know many early childhood teachers will have that poster on the wall that shows the range of emotions. And some of them even have a mirror set up at the piece table so that they can look and understand how they're displaying their particular emotion. Give children the language, even if it is baby sign, so that they can communicate, because having a conversation is not just about words. It's communicating in many, many different ways, but having a range of communication. So it's not just I'm happy, I'm sad, I'm angry, but it's all that range of emotions on that continuum of emotions, and help them to understand and know how to identify those emotions. As far as adults are concerned, adults need to do some work too. They need to understand their range of emotions. Adults need to learn how to reframe. Though that little girl may not be bossy, she may just have strong leadership skills. Or that little boy, may not be a bully. He just wants to have more movement, and he wants to use his whole body in his movement. And so it's kind of reframing and understanding more and being open to not just an immediate judgment of a child's behavior. I'm talking in a child care center or even in parenting a child. Reframe it. So what is driving that? What is the motivation for that reaction that the child is having? Of course, having a prepared environment, being very intentional about the environment, very careful about the choices of the environment, thinking about child protection. And I did hear a little talk about having safe sleep, so that the child does have safe sleep, so that they can go totally through those sleep cycles and have safe sleep. And then I think let children have free play, more free play, so that they can explore, and so that they can find the joy in play and the joy in discovery and the joy in finding a new way of doing something, maybe that no one else has approached it that way, developing their creativity in that play, helping children understand how to socialize and be a member of a group and to have and develop friendships. Because with this social media and with so much, the devices and so much being done with technology today, children are not as learning how to engage and play with other children. And sometimes it takes getting in there and playing and going through those stages of play and understanding where the child is on that continuum of play, from onlooker play to finally play with games, because children do in free play make up their own games and their own rules, and they understand it, and they understand the difference in make believe and something that is real. And so giving them a chance to use that free play and not always have it be orchestrated, for the adults to really educate themselves and understand what play really is, because I think a lot of us need to be reminded often what play is. You said, and I heard a little bit about using a guidance approach rather than an authoritarian approach. Many times the authoritative approach is a good approach, because we shouldn't exploit children, never exploit children. We shouldn't overindulge children to stop them from crying, but help them understand their emotions. Overindulgence leads to not a whole healthy child, because that's just not the way not the way life is, and they need to learn all of the valuable lessons that we learn in not being overindulged. So I think also, and I'm going to say one more thing, I think we should really teach our children about peace, and to remember that peace also involves care for the environment, care for others, care enough to accept people for their differences and value differences and learn and embrace the differences in people, and to really understand what what peace really is. Then the comfort and the love find that in comfort, love, and kindness.
Wow. Wow. Barbara, that was amazing, that peace part of it. Right? And as you said, the adults need to learn some of these things as well, because they can't give what they don't have.
I had
Amazing.
so much fun at the conference that I presented at, and because I like to present on using children's literature to teach skills of peace. And the participants in the conference, and I know it's going on right now, but it's wonderful. And the participants were just so awesome. They just talked about local books and books they could write that celebrated those different themes.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Awesome. Let's hear your view, Hyacinth.
What else
Yes,
is there to say?
I feel the cake.
One thing that comes to my mind in terms of physical, emotional, psychological development of a child is really the matter of safety, safe space. And I'm not just speaking to a physically safe spot, but really a place where a child feels safe enough to be emotional, to express themselves, to be able to articulate and communication, to be able to articulate how they feel, what is happening, what the issues are, to feel a sense of security in being able to talk to who the parent or the caregiver or the teacher that is so important. And the not being afraid to explore, not being afraid to try, not being afraid to do. Or I remember when my children were younger and we were at church and they had something to perform and they were so afraid, and I'd say, okay, just do it afraid, because the important thing is to get them to do it. And to go through, even though you are feeling fearful, even though you don't want to do something, but you want them to know that, yeah, you can go ahead. It's okay to feel afraid of a crowd, but go ahead and do what you have to do. The next time it was less traumatic, and the next time, hey, it's a breeze. So these things are important. Just somebody there to encourage, to let them know, yes, you can do it, and to know that you don't give up at
All right, something's going on. All right, you're back. Go ahead.
Okay. And one more thing, so that they were not hindered by fear. You don't give up at failure, but you try again. I mean, it's so important for them to know that, okay, it didn't work today, let's go again tomorrow. It's a new day, let's try again. The effort of just going again, these are so important life lessons and life habits for them to develop into really being whole adults.
Amazing. And I mean, that's been a holistic approach in terms of addressing the topic, a child's best interest, society's best interest. Because if we take care of the child, society will be taken care of. Mishka says that's good motivation indeed, because we just need to get into the game, get our feet wet, and you realize that you learn by doing. Fantastic. The comments are rolling in over there as we approach the top of the hour, and we only have a few seconds in the hour. So if there's any pressing final thoughts that you'd like to share, now is the time to share as we prepare to wrap for episode 5. Carene, Hyacinth?
Well, I just want to say we have to keep the conversation going. We have to keep talking. We have to keep building the awareness. and to encourage a community approach, back to the village approach in terms of caring for children.
Fantastic. Carene?
Yes, definitely. It's about support and fostering better relationships among our stakeholders
Oh,
and
something is
ensuring.
going on with your connection. Let's try again.
Okay, so it's definitely about support for us, fostering better relationships among our stakeholders, ensuring that our practitioners or institutions, the parents are supported, engaging in the different community-based activities, and just providing for our children the best of us. And then we have to start by looking into ourselves to ensure that we are actually giving our best for our children.
Fantastic. And Barbara?
I appreciate being invited to be with all of you. I've learned so much, and I am so excited to go out there and think about. I probably won't be able to sleep tonight. I've enjoyed this so much, and thank you for letting me be a part of it. I wish you so much success.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. So, ladies and gentlemen, and if we have any boys and girls that's here with us live and or that will be watching the replay from this evening's discussion, it's clear when we put the child first, we all benefit. The parents and society as a whole. So our children's safety, growth, and potential are not just their right, but it's our responsibility as adults, and we ought to take that responsibility seriously. We have the guidance, we have the support, and just in case you missed them, we have a blog recap coming up on Monday, so you can go back. The recording will remain on YouTube, so you can go back, and for those who missed the live, share the link with them so that they can watch the replay and share with others. Thank you, Mary Barbara Trube, Early Childhood Education Specialist, Director of GEM Educare, Hyacinth Blair, Senior Director, Children's Affairs Policy Division in our Ministry of Education, Skills, Youth, and Information, and Carene Francis from our collaborating partner entity, the Early Childhood Commission, or Manager of Community Relations. To you, our viewers who are with us live, those who are watching the replay, all of you, it's always great to support this forum and others. So let's continue to act, not just now, not just in May, but every day as we move forward in shaping our children to build stronger communities and stronger families as we build our nation. So if you found value in this forum, as some of you have been sharing in the comments, please go ahead and subscribe, share the replay, and follow Serenity Resource Connector and the Early Childhood Commission across social media platforms for more conversations that build stronger families and stronger communities. And with that said, have yourselves a fantastic rest of the night. And for those of you who are PDI 2025, a fantastic rest of the week as you continue to pour into each other so that when you go back out there, you can add more value to our little people as we groom them to be better and stronger adults of tomorrow. Have a great night, and the comments keep rolling in. Thank you, Mishka. A Child Rights Series 2025 Live Forum, Hear the Voices of Our Children, We Have Rights Too, is brought to you on third Tuesdays at 8 p.m. in collaboration with the Early Childhood Commission. Visit our website at www.serenityresourceconnector.com and subscribe to receive our weekly blog post. Join us again on Thursday at 8 p.m. for our local governance live forum with the Clarendon Municipal Corporation. Thank you for watching.